Yo, y'all see who just got off the bus, man? The homie Murder's on the yard, man. He's a gangster. He's about his business for real, man. Bro, I can tell you for sure, Murder got at least 4 or 5 bodies under his belt, man. For sure. Not even to mention, he's one of the coldest rappers in the game. Murder said he's done with them streets. He's hitting the studio as soon as he gets out, man. Say, whoa, I just got a kite from Murder. He say he been in the studio 8-9 hours a day. He ain't in them streets whatsoever. Peoples, I just called home, man. They said Murder just got picked up for murder, guns, all type of weapons, drug charges, man. It's over. Yo, once again it's on. Back at you one more again. Real Kens TV in the house like motherfucking kitchen sinks. Before I get into today's story, if you will, I'd like to take the time to apologize to the people that tune in to actually hear me tell stories. You know, the last couple of days I done kind of got, I don't know, off track, if you will. And, you know, myself along with the Dante Show Network kind of been trading jabs, you know, just going back and forth or what have you over some things that have been said that a lot of you all are not privy to. But I'm back with my stories, my real stories. And I like to send a shout out to Dante Show Network. We actually got on the phone, had a great conversation. You know, it didn't start out so great or what have you, but we talked for about 2 hours. We ironed out all our details. Actually, it was more than 2 hours. You know, he said what his issues were with me. I said what my issues were with him. And look for us to be going live real soon together. And everything is squashed. It ain't no problems. It never was a street beef or anything of that magnitude. It was strictly internet. So once again, big shout outs to the Dante Show Network. If you're not familiar, go check him out, man. He got a great channel. And he's doing big things over there. And he's very successful, and he's been instrumental in the development of my channel, just to be totally honest. But nevertheless, with all that being said, there is a message. Now, a lot of times people watch shows such as you know, let's just say the First 48. We're going to use the First 48 for example, for the simple fact that the First 48 directly deals and coincides with the story that I'm bringing you all this afternoon. Most people don't understand that when you're on the First 48, you don't even know that you're being recorded for the First 48. So when you get into that interrogation room and all the street and the gangster and the thug and all that leaves you, officer, I just need to go home to my family. Officer, I didn't even know. Officer, I'm not a bad guy. Oftentimes, you don't even know that you're being recorded. And if you do, or once you realize that you're being recorded, you definitely don't know that it's the First 48. So guys get in there and spill their guts, not even knowing that later on, they could potentially be exposed. Now we'll bring you out a story of murder. Now, it's a lot of guys named Murder in the streets, man. So out of all the guys that you may know, if you're a street dude or a former street person or just whatever the case may be, it's probably not the murder that you're thinking of. But if you're in the state of Kentucky, it could be, possibly. Now, this guy Murder, man, he had a stellar reputation. I first met Murder in the penitentiary. Well respected. I'm talking about was well respected. Everybody looked up to Murder, man. Everybody, all the young dudes would come in and try to just align themselves with Murder. Murder was on the streets prior to being incarcerated. He was selling that H at Hank, so he had big money. Murder could rap. He was in the studio. He was real nice in the studio. He had street cred. He done shot, killed a few people. He had bodies under his belt. Couple teardrops. He got the face tattoos, couple teardrops. So people really respected Murder in these streets. He gets knocked for something small. He comes to the penitentiary. That's where I meet him, as I mentioned. We was cool. Only reason we were cool is because we were in the same cube. same cubicle. See, this particular penitentiary, they didn't have cells, so they had cubicles. 2 men, 1 cubicle, 2 men in the next cubicle, and you just had a wall that was about 4 feet high that was separating you. Now, when I say 2 men in a cubicle, you know, obviously they had their own beds, their own racks. You see what I'm saying? It's not like 2 men in a cubicle and they were sharing 1 bed. I just had to put that out there. But I would notice so many people would just come to this guy and just like, it was like he was the guy, he was the man. He stayed on the phone. Well, real kids, what's the significance of staying on the phone in the penitentiary? The significance is every time you make a phone call, it's $3 or $4 a call. He's on the phone, he's probably making, without exaggerating, because he was a dorm janitor, because you have to have a job in the penitentiary. So being that he was in Kentucky anyway, so being that he was a dorm janitor, whatever his shift was from 7 a.m. until 3 p.m., he was in the dorm. They were making you stay in the dorm, so, you know, he'd make sure the bathroom was clean, do his little, you know, clean the fans, go in the day room, sweep, you know, whatever he had to do. But once he did that, he would come back and get on the phone. So I know that he had to at least spend, just during the day, you know, before 3 o'clock, 5 hours on the phone. So you got to have money to continuously call back. Went to the commissary every day. Spent the maximum of whatever you're allowed to spend in the penitentiary, because they, you know, they put limits on how much you can spend. The guy was penitentiary rich, had everything, CD player. You know, back then it was CDs. Had the CD players, had a TV, of course. 3 pair of nice shoes, sweatsuits, as people came to see him every week. Saturday and Sunday, he's on visit all day long. He got 2, 3 babies' mamas. They all bringing the kids. So you could tell that this guy was very, very well liked, but yet very, very respected, if you will. So we doing our time together, whatever. He's cool, man. You know what I'm saying? Anything I ever needed or whatever, bro, you, whatever, man. You gonna watch my TV? Because I ain't have a TV at the time. I was doing bad, y'all, in the joint. I was doing bad. My money hadn't, the eagle hadn't landed yet. Which it eventually came, but nevertheless, you can watch my TV, bro. When I ain't here, you hungry, you need something or whatever, just whatever, man. Just holler at me. Murder was cool, man. Now, let me tell you, Murder wasn't nothing but, at best, 5'9", at best. Because we was about the same height. So I'm going to say about 5'9". Man, he couldn't have been over 140 pounds. He wore the little Boosie fade. If you are familiar, if you're not familiar, check it out. Rapper Lil Boosie, how he wears it's called the Boosie fade. He wore the Boosie fade, and he was just a smooth, cool dude. Never would have imagined that he was an outright killer on the streets. That's why I say you can't judge a book by its cover. Now, for you all to say, come on, real Kens, get to the point. I don't get straight to the point in my videos. I have to paint a picture. See, my videos are 30 minutes or longer, because most people like the 30-minute or longer videos. So if you want to see a 12, 15, 16-minute video, then you're at the wrong channel. Respectfully. But at any rate, you know, we were cool or what have you. And I just noticed how everybody would just gravitate towards him. Straight killer, man. Man, that dude right there, man, is a gangster for real, man. And he can rap. So his whole goal was to get out, pursue his rap career, and leave the streets alone. But he would often tell me, Kens, I got so much beef, I don't know how I can possibly leave the streets alone. Because if I leave the streets alone, which is, you know, what I intend to do, it's not as though my ops is saying, well, you know what, Murder's leaving these streets alone, so we're going to let it go. No, it doesn't. The streets don't work like that. Y'all that wonder what I'm drinking, man, you know, fresh, ever fresh, a little ice. And so I knew which direction that he wanted to go in, but I understood what he was saying. Like, I can't go in this direction. Perhaps I'll move back to my hometown. He wasn't from Kentucky. He had just lived in Kentucky for a lot of years, but it's like, man, if I move to my hometown, I got my kids, my mother's here, my family's here, everybody's here, so am I just gonna run? It is what it is, man. When I get out, I'm coming out, guns blazing. If that's what that's not my intentions, but at the same time, I gotta protect myself. He ends up getting released. When he goes home, oh man, it's a celebration, man. It's a party. I'm talking about when they come to the front gate, because like in prison, you can either you can catch a bus to your destination, or your people can come and pick you up. These people came and picked him up, man. It's big boy Suburbans. It was about 4 or 5. It was literally about 4 or 5 whips, nice vehicles that came and picked him up. Picked him up, threw him $20,000. As soon as he came out of the gate, a couple females in one of the whips, one of the trucks, took him to the mall, laced him, took him shopping or whatever, went and seen his PO, went and did everything that he needed to do. Actually, he didn't have no PO, he served out. Went and seen his family or whatever, straight to the studio. It was independent record label that was taking care of him, making sure he was good while he was locked up, but he had his own money anyway. We getting you out of these streets straight to the studio, man. No more streets, man. Straight to the studio. You got a talent. And he was young. He had youth on his side. So he gets out. He's sending letters. He's sending, he's letting us know how he's doing. Not me directly, but he's letting people know. Man, tell Kens, man, if he needs something, man, holler at me, whatever. But he's communicating directly with other individuals that he really, really, fooled with while he was incarcerated. Probably 2 or 3 months goes past. Everything's cool. All his time is spent in the penitentiary. Next thing you know, it hits the fan. I guess some of his old ops figured, shoot, this is our perfect opportunity to get him. The street thing starts to go on now. Now it's not you spending less and less time in the studio and you dealing with the streets. And you all the way back in the streets, man. Y'all running up on dudes. Bow, bow, bow. Y'all blasting, they blasting, whatever. There's several different situations, if you will, that occurred. They done robbed people. Robbed the dope dealers. He didn't really need no money. He was good, but at the same time, I guess if you feel like, if I'm going to run up on this dude that I know has a problem with me, and I can hit me a lick and come up on 15, 20, 30,000, let me hit that lick. Even though I'm already good, let me go on and hit this lick. They start robbing the dope dealers. All the dope dealers in the city. Not necessarily all the dope dealers, but I guess certain ones that they felt as though were easy targets. Like I said, they getting in shootouts every other day. It's all the way up. They end up getting caught up. Police is investigating. Which police, let me tell you all about, if you've never been in the Department of Corrections, once again, let me tell you all how the task, how the detectives, and if your name is on the radar, it's on the radar. Even if you're in the studio every day, even if you haven't done anything, they're automatically looking at you anytime a crime takes place that's similar to the crime that you were committing, your MO. So they already had him in mind, even though they didn't know for sure that it was him and that he, had any involvement. He's already under investigation. Things go down. People get shot. People get unalived. People get robbed. Guess whose picture gets circled and initialed by? That's what happens in the interrogation room when people snitch on you. They circle your picture and initial their initials beside your picture. His name continuously comes up. Murder, murder, murder. They're looking for murder. But now at this point they can't find him because murder knows that he's a suspect. So essentially he's on the run. He got money and he's just bouncing around. He's on the run. They got to take me. I'm not going in. I'm not going back to prison. Murder's on the run for a while. I don't know, maybe a year or so. Finally, they catch up with him. When they catch up with him, he got guns on him, obviously. He got work on him, which is, H at heroin and things of that nature, because he had to support himself while he was on the run. A ton of money. They take him in. They take him in. He don't go straight to jail. He goes to an interrogation room. He's in the interrogation room. They questioning him about all these events, all these things that took place. I don't know nothing, man. Instead of simply just saying, I need an attorney, because that's what you're supposed to say, I don't know nothing. I don't know what y'all talking about. So he's going back and forth with him. He's listening to the detectives or whatever, but he's not saying anything. Lock him up, man. He goes to jail. He don't have no bond. He has a bond, but it's so astronomical that he can't make that bond. See, in Kentucky, you don't get an automatic 10% bond. Now, when I say automatic 10% bond, meaning, let's just say in most other states, your bond's $100,000. Well, you only got to come up with 10% of that, which is $10,000. And you can get out. Not in Kentucky. If your bond's $100,000, it's $100,000. I'm in a Commonwealth state. Now, you get a good attorney, he can go in and speak for you. You may be able to get that bond reduced to $10,000 in a few weeks, a few months, or what have you. But initially, your bond is what your bond is going to be. And for this individual that had such a violent history and he had a history of, just being in trouble, the likelihood of him getting a lower bond was very, very unlikely. So he's in the county jail, what have you, and he's going back and forth. Once again, murder's in the county. Murder's well respected. See what I'm saying? Murder, nobody tried him in the county. He had a couple of fights, but he had so many people that was up under him, he didn't really have to do much. It was a situation where a dude ran up on him and, he was kind of getting the best of murder. Like I said, murder wasn't even, 5'9", 140, 145 at best. Them dudes found out about that, man. It was 5 or 6 of them. Went and grabbed the dude, took some sheets, because they give you sheets in the county jail to put over your mat, tied him to the bed. Took a sheet, tied one arm, took another sheet, tied the other arm. They put a sheet over his face, so he's tied. Actually, they probably used 2 sheets. He can't move. He's tied to the bed. They tie his legs, and they just beat him. Boom, 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 boom. Just beat him. Yeah. About murder? It's murder! Yeah, about murder. They was going to do whatever. They was going to ride or die for murder. So, as time goes on, I guess murder starts to realize, and murder had a baby on the way at this point. He had just had a child, and he had another baby. Matter of fact, let me take that back. We're going to rewind that manually. Murder had 2 babies on the way. Murder was a street dude. Murder got around. The women, that's what they were attracted to, those sort of women. The money, the street fame, the notoriety. So Murder had a baby that was maybe 7, 8 months, 9 months. Then he got 2 babies on the way, and they're like a month and a half, 2 months apart. Not to mention the other kids that he already had that were young kids. So I guess you could say Murder was a Rolling Stone, maybe? I don't know. Who am I to judge? So as I mentioned, time was going on, court appearance after court appearance. Murder starts to realize the feds are coming in. Yeah, the feds are coming in. The feds gonna pick that case up, man. Now, it's bad enough that you facing all this time in the state, but in the state of Kentucky, you probably gonna eventually get out. You may have to lay down for 10 years. He's in his 20s, so he know he gonna sit down for 10 years, maybe 12 years, something like that, but he'll be back home. But when the feds come in and you do 85% of that time, and they go off from federal guidelines, see, they got a point system in the feds, and it's totally different from the state. And they have mandatory minimums. So unless you cooperate and get down with them people, you out of here. Feds come in, They call him for an interview. Well, when he does the interview, nobody thinks anything of it because it was just a regular day. He had so many different court dates. Nobody knew that he was really going to do a interview with the feds. U.S. Marshals, federal agents, what have you, they come in. They questioning him or whatever. Actually, let me rewind again because I want to tell the story right. I don't make up stories and I want to be accurate. Before the feds come in, he's aware that the feds are coming in, so he sits down with the state officials. But there's some federal officials in the building just as well. Murder spills his guts, man. He gets to talking about where he's getting the guns from, who he's getting his supply from. Now, everybody he doesn't mention. There are certain people, he just doesn't mention. So I'm not even going to say he's straddling the fence because either you're a snitch or you're not a snitch. So he wasn't straddling the fence. He was blatantly telling, but he wasn't giving up his main supply, his main plug, if that makes any sense to you. Vibe with me. Maybe you're at work, maybe on your way to work, from work. Maybe you're just trying to, go to sleep at night, take a nap, whatever the case may be, man. Just ride with real Kens, man, because we keep it real. And so, Murder, he's in the interrogation room and, he's telling it all. He's telling everything. He's trying to spare his life. I already got 2 or 3 kids. Then I got, I just had a young one. So actually, I believe he had like 3 kids. And then I got 2 on the way. And then I probably have some possibilities out here. So what can I do to help me? What can I do to spare my life? He's working with him. Murder ends up getting, I believe, he goes to the feds. Ultimately, he ends up pleading guilty to, I think he took 20 years, 22 years in the feds. Now, while that's nothing shabby, that's nothing to just, that's some nice time because in the feds, you do 85% of your time. So let's just say he got a 22-year sentence. He's going to do roughly, 18 years? At least he has an opportunity to get out in his 40s. Opposed if he didn't cooperate with him, you're never getting out. It's a wrap. Book him, Dano. Good night, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. That's what it would have been. So he spared his life, knowing that things are always changing in the feds. Things are laws, as far as laws or what have you. So I may have an opportunity at some point to get out much earlier. Now, mind you, this was many, many years ago. He cooperates with the people, but nobody knows. He's still that guy when he gets back to the county jail, whatever. They just still, they don't know. They have no clue. He's still that guy. Takes his time, gets sentenced. They send him to the joint. He got 22 years. He got his reputation. Somehow the feds can do something to where everything is sealed, or they can make your paperwork look totally opposite than what it really, really is. Because when you hit that federal yard, they want your paperwork. They want to know who's coming to their yard. This is our yard. We need to know, everybody that arrives on this yard, we need to know you solid. Murder, he already got a reputation. We see the paperwork. Oh, dude, solid. Everything's all good. Let me tell you how dirty the police are, man. And I'm not saying all police are dirty, and I'm not saying that the whole system is corrupt, but a lot of it is. Let me tell you how they play. Murder's on the yard one day. First 48 comes on TV. Now, in the state, you can have your own TV. So if you have the money, or your people can send you some money, or you hustling or whatever, you got your own money, you can buy you a TV, cost you $230, $250 or whatever for a 13-inch TV. You can sit there, hook your headphones up, tune yourself totally out of the world, and just you doing you, tunnel vision. You watching your TV, you listen to your music, whatever the case may be. But in the feds, you can't have your own television. You got to go to the day room, the TV room. First 48 comes on. They watching it. The episode, as far as murder, his situation, his story, pops up on First 48. So people sitting there and they watching this. Now this dude is out on the yard, kicking it. He don't even know that the First 48 is on. They watching the episode of him in the interrogation room telling about the murders and everything else that he knows about. And they're like, whoa. 5'9" at best, 145 pounds. He walking the yard, well respected, even in the feds. Now in the feds, you got criminals from everywhere, because the feds typically will keep you in transition. You may be somewhere for X amount of years, and they're gonna they up and just move you to Oklahoma. Then you'll stay there for a little bit. Then you'll look up and you in California. So the feds back then anyway, they would keep you just, bouncing around. Pause. They sitting there and they looking at this dude like, this dude is a rat. This dude is a real live rat. At the same time, Murder's out on the yard kicking it, rapping. You know what I'm saying? He's in his clique or whatever. He got his clique with him. They sitting around, you know what I'm saying? They freestyling. They in a cypher. They rapping. Thing about the penitentiary, man. In a joint, word travels real fast. They see that Murder's on First 48. Instead of just running up on Murder, because it's a process, you got to get clearance. You can't just go do something to somebody. No, you got to holler. You got shot callers in the joint. So you got to holler at certain people. Hey, man, we seen this on First 48. This dude right here. But Murder still had a crew. He still had a clique. They approaching, bro. We've been hit with the information that you was a rat. Come on, man. You know I'm solid out here in these streets, man. In my paperwork, I could never rat on nobody. But, bro, you was just on First 48. And everybody seen it. Everybody that was in the TV room seen it. So even the people that didn't see it, essentially they seen it, because the word is going to travel, and word travels really fast. Immediately, not immediately, Murder understands the significance and the danger that he's in. His clique really saved him, for real. Because they could have just stepped aside and didn't say anything. See, one thing about prison, there's a couple things that's unforgivable. You a rat. You mess with kids. You out here doing stuff to older folks, the elderly. And a lot of times women, but sometimes, depending on the situation, you might be able to slide through the cracks, which I don't think that you should be able to. But about them kids and ratting, absolutely no exceptions. None whatsoever. You gonna get the business. Murder had been locked up a couple times. He understood. Like I said, immediately. I'm afraid for my life, man. Get me off his yard immediately. He goes to the people and take him to protective custody. Now, you're going to go to protective custody, ultimately expecting to be, or hoping to be sent somewhere else. He goes to protective custody. They come and, pack his property up. They come with the black trash bags with the gloves and pack your property up or what have you. He's not in the hole, he's in protective custody. So a lot of his property he can have his TV. Well, actually, he couldn't have his TV because he's in the Fed, so he never had a TV. Duh. Players mess up too. So, he's in the protective custody, and he's hoping to be transferred really far. The problem is, it doesn't matter where you go. Well, you think just because you're in West Virginia that they don't have TVs in California or Colorado or New York or St. Louis or any other facility, Kentucky, any other facility where the feds are located? People see the first 48 everywhere. So in his mind, he's thinking, oh, shoot, man, I'll get transferred, but I'll just stay in protective custody. Now, who wants to be in protective custody? You are locked down 23 hours a day. It's just like the whole, I'm not going to say it's just like the whole because, okay, here's the similarities. You're locked down 23 hours a day. Now, if you're in protective custody, you can still get certain privileges. You can get your visits, you can get your mail, you can write letters or whatever. But if you're in the hole, you don't have any of those things. But you're still locked down 23 hours a day with no TV? What? At least if you had a TV, it's like, okay, I can watch my shows. No television, no whatsoever. He ends up getting transferred. He gets transferred halfway Arizona somewhere. He's in West Virginia, so he gets transferred way to like Arizona. So he's thinking he's good. It's been several months after the fact. You know, I understand that a rerun could come on first 48, but hopefully it don't. He stays in protective custody or what have you. Lo and behold, a kite was flown way out to Arizona. A kite? What's a kite? Like literally a kite, real kids? Like a kite? No, silly. A kite is a letter, a note. Hey, bruh's up on the yard. He's in protective custody. He goes by murder. He's not right. He's on first 48. Boom, boom, boom. Have your people, look it up. Now, back then, they didn't, Google existed, but it wasn't nearly, now you can just Google anything. So it wasn't nearly as accessible. But you don't need Google. My word is my bond. If I tell you it's going to rain, don't ask when, just go get your raincoat. So I'm telling you, this dude is a rat. Word gets way to Arizona. He's in protective custody, though. Don't worry about it. You can see when the politics are different on the West Coast, you got more gangs. Now, in the feds, period, you got gangs, but on the West Coast, it's really, really, really structured from what I understand. I never been there, and let me find some wood to knock on because I'm not trying to go there. And so, once they understand and realize who this guy is, they do their due diligence, which they didn't have to do that, but they did because he was a gangster on the streets. They do they due diligence and found out that, wow, he is the man that they say he is. Man. He's a rat. But how we gonna get to him is in protective custody. No problem. You get a couple people, hey, bro, this is what I need you to do. I need you to commit this violation to where you have to go to the hole for 15, 20 days or whatever, nothing major. No problem. You go whoop somebody, hit somebody in the mouth or something like that. Now there's two of y'all in the hole. You're on the same walk as this individual. Now, when you in the hole, it's different from protective custody, but they kind of keep you close to each other. So if you can't get to them, you come back out and you're like, bro, I tried my best, but I couldn't because I couldn't. Okay, don't worry about it. I need you two to go in here and say that you fear for your safety and go to protective custody instead of the hole. Because after all, murder's in the protective custody. He wasn't in the hole. Cool. They do that. They're able to lay hands on him. They're able to get to him. Then they tell the other people that's in protective custody or what have you. But a lot of them are really, really in protective custody. But there's a couple goons really in protective custody trying to get to their man or what have you. And so it's like, the real ones or whatever. Hey, man, dude right here, he's really a rat. No, not murder. Yeah, murder. He's a rat. Caught murder out on wreck one day. Try to kill him, man. Now, you don't really have no knives in protective custody. And I'm quite sure that's the only thing that really, really saved murder. Because they couldn't really get their hands on Knives. Man, they beat that man so bad. They beat Murder so bad to where he was in a wheelchair. Ultimately, he walked again. According to the people that I know that know him, he ultimately walked again. But he didn't walk for some years, man. They broke that man. He didn't eat no pizza. He didn't eat none of that. Everything he ate was through a straw. They beat that man to a pulp. Beat him to a pulp, man. And he was he probably wishes that he didn't survive. And that's what I say. I don't blame it on the police. I don't blame it on the judicial system, because I feel as though that is necessary. But you are recording these guys and they don't even know that they're being recorded. But at the same time, good for them, because they shouldn't be talking in the first place. When you out here in these streets and you doing wrong, when you out here and you living that life, guess what? Getting arrested comes with it. Getting shot at comes with it. Dudes hollering at your baby's mamas, dudes robbing you, all that stuff comes with being in them streets. You can't pick and choose what's right. No. You out here in these streets, man, so you got to deal with what comes along with it. 22 years in the feds. Now, this was 2000 and... I said many years ago, but I'm going to tell you exactly. This was 2006 when I met him. So this is 2024 now. He's probably home at this point. And if he's not home, he's on his way home. He's still going to have an issue when he gets home. Ain't nobody forgot that you ratted. Ain't nobody forgot that you was on First 48. They tried to take your life in the feds, and I'm quite sure that he probably had other instances or situations in which he had to deal with that. But now you come home, and you still gonna have to pick that thing up to protect yourself. See, as a felon, you can't have a gun. You can't even have a knife that's over so many inches long. Pause. They don't want you to... Man, one time I got caught up with some nunchucks, man. And the officer, that's why I say all cops is not bad. I didn't even know that I was doing anything wrong, illegal. I had a knife. I had some nunchucks. He was like, I could take you to jail for deadly weapon. I'm like, what? He was like, yeah, these nunchucks, brass knuckles, I got all of it. It's deadly weapons. I didn't even know. But the thing about it, ignorance of the law would not allow you to beat the law, would not allow you to win at trial. Listen, I didn't know. I was trying to protect myself. Yeah, but, the law says this or what have you, and they're going to knock your head off. Ignorance of the law means absolutely nothing, and I was ignorant of the law. I didn't know that I couldn't have nunchucks. The best thing is just stay out the streets, man. Stay out of the way, man. Stay out of the streets. Looks glorious. They glorify these things on these rap videos. They make it seem as though if you're not out here in the streets putting in work, man, stay out of them streets, man. Go to school. Get you a trade. I always say this, man. Get you a job. Get you 2 jobs. Stay on your job and continue to further advance in that job. Start you something that you're passionate about, a business. It ain't got to be about no money. When I started my YouTube channel, it wasn't about money. I had a couple people that I watched, Big Hurt from the Fresh Out Prison series, of course, Jay Williams. These guys entice me and encourage me, and I say, you know what? I can do the same thing because I got a story to tell just as well. So it wasn't about any money. It took me an entire 8-9 months before I started making money on YouTube. But it doesn't matter to me because I enjoy what I do. I enjoy bringing you all this action and this motherfucking heat. Respectfully. The money just comes along with it. And I'm far from a large channel. But perhaps maybe that one day I'll get there. But if I don't, I'm cool. Because I enjoy doing what I'm doing. I like to see the ultimate outcome with murder. Hopefully, No more harm comes to him. Because even though he ratted, even though he snitched, I'm a human being. I don't want to see harm done to anybody. I'm not an advocate for violence. I would just say you not like it. The streets is not for you as much as you think that they are. Stay out them streets, murder. And anybody like murder, anybody else that's, that has a goal, or they just like really, really are driven by the streets, man, them streets don't love you. You're gonna die. You're gonna go to an early grave, or you're gonna go to the penitentiary for life, man. I mean, it's not the movies. Gangsters don't live that long. Like Scarface once said, you're not gonna just get rich from the streets. Does it ever happen? I'm sure it does. But what does that mean? One person out of a million people that gets rich, able to take their money and put it into something else and live happily ever after? It's not your average results. As respected as murder was, as hard as murder was, pause, double pause, when it came down to it, murder had to save itself, man. Murder had to save himself. He trying to get back out to these streets. He ain't trying to spend the rest of his life in prison around a bunch of hard ankles. I'm never going to touch a woman again, other than visit. And you're going to be so far away from your family, you'll be lucky to get one visit every 2 or 3 years. I'm never going to make love. Ain't no conjugal visits. This ain't the movie Life. This ain't the movies to where, people's getting conjugal visits. No, this is real life TV. This is not the movie theater. And you're faced with all of that. But if you give us this information, we're going to spare your life. You're going to do some time, but we'll spare your life. All these dudes acting like they goons and it's death before dishonor, man, you're lying. The majority of individuals out of 100 people, 99.999 people, if they have an opportunity to go home to their family and make it back out, they're going to tell it, man. So don't believe the hype, man. Real Kens TV. Hopefully you like the video. Feel free to, I done got hype. Feel free to comment, definitely share, subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. And be sure to hit that post notification. So anytime I bring you this action and this motherfucking heat, guess what? You're amongst the first to receive.